imagine that? No, you have to imagine that. Because I'm wanting you to imagine that even though you are here today, that you can rule the world. Why did I come to read to you? I came to read to you because it was by listening to my father, who always loved reading. He made my mom and my siblings and myself, he made us. Anytime we were back from school, while others would be out on the street playing, my dad had a program for us to read. He would buy books and books and books, and we would read and read and read. By reading, I saw through the books things that I would never have known about. I met people that I would never have known about by reading books. By reading, I understood about nations that I had never visited. By reading books, I found out how people were solving certain problems that they were encountering in life. If you don't read a book, you don't learn a thing. By reading and reading and reading, I realized that I knew more and more. And any time that in the class the teacher would say a particular thing, then I would remember a particular book that I read that said something like that. And I would put up my hand and say, I have an answer. And the teacher would say, how do you think you have an answer? And I would say, I read it in one book. And the teacher would look at me and say, what book? And I would tell her the book. And she would say, you read that book? And I would say, yes, my daddy made me read it. Do you think it made a difference in my life?
Yes.
Why is it that only a few answered? Do you think it made a difference in my life?
Yes.
I want you to develop a very strong appetite for reading. When you read, you become superior mentally to your old self. When you read, you improve what you know every day. And as you improve what you know, you prepare yourself. I'm talking to you as an individual now. When you read, you prepare yourself to become a success. Who wants to be a success? Then you must plant something. Did you see how Banji planted? Even though he planted a clock which could not grow, but by planting, what did they end up harvesting? They harvested an idea by his parents to become farmers. And then from that farming, they became so successful, they could have given any level of education that Banji wanted to him. That planting can also be seen as you investing your time properly today. How many of you read after you get home? When you get home, you actually read something. How many of you? Very good. At least some of you are not telling lies. You're not saying that you read because you know you don't. For some of you that don't read after you get home, it might be because when you get home, then your families ask you to go and sell something. Is that what it is? Yes? Yes. Because some of them have the economic need for you to sell something to enable the family to feed. But I really wish that as part of that time that you utilize, that you will tell your parents that you can become great if they will give you at least 1 hour to just read. How many of you will do that when you get home today? Ask your parents to allow you to just spend time to read. Are you going to do it? For some of you, your parents are not preventing you from reading. You are the one preventing yourself. Because you get home, and what you just go and do is to find somebody to play with. Or you get home and you put on the television, and you begin to watch all kinds of funny programs. Nobody is going to watch you, nobody is going to ask you how much television you watched when you were growing up. Nobody. Nobody cares how many programs you know on television. They don't care. What people are going to demand from you is what you know. The only way that you can know more and more is to do what? Read more and more. How many people are promising Mrs. Kalango that not only will they read this book that we have read together today, but that every book that they see around them, they will pick it up and read something? How many will promise? Now, because you have made this promise, it does not matter. It does not matter that I will not be there to see what Rainbow Book Club to buy you that are in this particular program. They will buy you many more books that you would have to read. I really need you to know that you can be anything you aspire to be. Nigeria is waiting for you to change it. Do you know that some of you are going to be the senators in this land? Yes. Some are going to be the House of Reps members. Yes. Some are going to be ministers of education and finance. Some are going to be the doctors in the hospitals. Yes. Some of you are going to be the principal. Some are going to be teachers. How many are going to be teachers? Very good. Clap for these ones. Some of you are going to be great authors, like your uncle who is helping us coordinate this event today. Some of you are going to be authors like him, right? Yes. Some of you are going to start prosperous businesses. Hopefully, none of you will be corrupt. Yeah. Because corruption does not make a nation grow. Making money that you have not worked hard for does not make a nation develop. Useless money that is corruptly gotten does not improve society. How many of you are going to read, work hard, study, read and read and read until they become great? Clap for yourselves. Thank you so very much for the opportunity that I've had to interact with you. If I could school here in Ajegule, have my primary education here, and then go on to do all the studying that I did in life, you can. Say to yourselves, I can. I can. And I will. I will. I definitely will. I definitely will. How wonderful. I know you will. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ezekwesili. Thank you so very much. Let's appreciate her. questions to ask her, don't you?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to give you an opportunity to ask her questions. So when you stand up, you tell us your name. We've already met the school, so you can just tell us your name and then speak nicely, loud and clear for her to hear. So, do you have any questions? Are we starting right at the back? Is that a student?
My name is Ezekwesili. So my question is, how did Mrs. Ezekwesili achieve what she achieved and becoming a great icon in Nigeria today?
He asked how I managed to achieve what I achieved, right? Is that what he asked?
Yes.
Okay, like I told you, so I started my primary school and I did my first school living certificate. And because I had been studying so hard and I was reading every book. In fact, at the time I was 6, my father would buy the newspapers and he would share it with me. And he would read and I would be reading my own. And the first time I would see a word like business and I would say bossiness. And my father would correct me and say, that's not bossiness, that is business. So I began to read the newspapers at a very early age. And any paper that I saw around me, I would read it. Anything that is written, I would like to read it. I loved reading. I just so loved reading. And then I did my secondary education. I went to United Christian College, a mission school in Apapa. And I got a distinction again at my secondary school. And then immediately after I left secondary school, which was in 1981, I went on to the University of Nigeria. I left secondary school in 1981 and went straight to the University of Nigeria. And I graduated and I did my youth service. I finished my youth service and I went on and did my master's at the University of Lagos. Then I finished my master's and I continued studying. I went to work at Deloitte and Touche, Akintola Williams, and I trained there and took professional exams to become a chartered accountant. And after I became a chartered accountant, I continued to work, and then I spent some time in the financial services sector. And at that point in time, even when I was in the university, I cared about good governance. I hated corruption with a passion because of my reading, I was able to find out that the reason our country was not doing great was because of corruption. So as a child in the university, I belonged to the group that always said were activists against bad governance. And so when I became a professional, I was one of those that started something that is known as concerned professionals. And then when internationally we were going to start a campaign against corruption, I was one of those that started what is today known as Transparency International. That didn't end my education. Later on, I then went to Harvard University. Constant factor in everything that I said to you. Who is going to read?
University of Lagos as well. These are world-class institutions. But it didn't end there. Those are great institutions. But she now went to one of the greatest in the whole world. Harvard is one of the greatest universities in the whole world. It's not just anybody that gets into Harvard. People like President Bill Clinton, people like Obama. President Obama went to clap for Dr. Ezekwesili. So you see that somebody that went to primary school or that went to school in Ajegole and her papa can go to Harvard. Is it possible? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. Can you do it? Yes. Say, yes, I can. Yes, I can. Very good. We're going to take the next question. We had a boy first. Can we have a girl? If there's a girl, okay, let's take you. Loud.
I said my name is Amjad from Olarada. What was the thing that was motivating you to go on? After you got your degree, you could have stopped there, but you were still going on, and you went to Harvard. What was that thing that was pushing you that you were going to have to? That was
You know, it also has to do with what kind of parents you have. My parents wanted us to be exceedingly successful. So they invested everything in making sure that we had the right values. Our parents made sure we understood that the success that comes from hard work is better than any other form of success. That was one. Number two was that our parents, my parents had basically also come from a background that appreciated education. Remember that I told you that I went to a primary school that was family owned, even though later on the government took it over and it became a public primary school. But it was a family that cared about education. So my parents were a very important factor in pushing us on to study and to accomplish more through our education. But reading helped me also, because I was reading so many books, and I was reading about people who had nothing, but through education became something. And when I would see some of those kinds of people in the book that I read, I felt they were inspiring, and I wanted to demonstrate that it could also happen with me. And so I kept challenging myself at every level not to stop. Whatever was next that needed to be done, I wanted to accomplish it. And that's exactly how it happened. But I think that fundamentally, the grace of God was also there for us. We were a very strong Catholic family in those days. And I was made to be a very responsible daughter. So I was the president of the Legion of Mary at my own level. And then I was a girl guide. Who is a girl guide here? Who is a part of the brownies? Brownies and girls, yes? And what's our motto? Be prepared. You people, you have to be part of either the Scouts, the Boy Scout, or the Girls Guide, because it really prepares you to be a leader. So the grace of God was there also for us. We really were a family that feared God. We feared God then, we continue to fear God today, and God made a difference in our lives.
And we saw that in the book, didn't we? When the family were in a crisis, they prayed, didn't they? And in an uncanny way, God answered their prayers. So also, we have seen it in Mrs. Ezekwesili's life, and it will be in all our lives as well, not so? Okay, can we take another question? Yes? The boy, yeah.
My name is Idoko Samson, and my school, Alakuto Senior High School. So I don't know if I'm allowed to make a contribution before I make my question. Okay, what I really wanted to contribute is actually the day, I think what we have there, when I get Nigeria winning again. So I think we are students, so we understand what is really troubling us. So I want to speak on behalf of the students. There are many things that are going on in the educational sector in Nigeria today. For example, I wanted to get my GC from one of the GC for GC. So I went to the man, I think he operated a computer school along our street. So I went to him and I asked him, how much do you say GC for? And he told me that if I don't need any assistance, I'll pay 6.5. But if I need assistance, I have to pay 10,000 naira. Then if I want my result to be actually very good, I have to pay 20,000 naira. So this is something that actually has been going on for a very long time. It's not considered to be normal. Even when you want to take jump, there are people who do pay for expos. And even I've been to the school system for many years now, and I've passed through primary school to secondary school and where I am presently. And students actually they don't read because they believe that why should I read? If I fail, some teacher will be there to give me additional marks and something like that. So they don't believe in reading. They believe that they make their friends somewhere who give them answers. And then we have those people who also believe in malpractice. That's their own. When it's exam time, they have to pay for the expos. And this is how it's been going for long. My teacher also told me that when he was schooling, that lecturers do not teach in their class. They will come there and just give them the outline of whatever they want to speak on, and they'll go. They'll tell them to do the rest, go and read. And I think these are some of the things that motivated those students to actually do those funny stuff. So I'm saying this to the students actually here, presently here. It is surprising to know that this book that I've distributed to us, some of us have not even read it. Some of us have not even opened the book. And it's an indisputable fact that after today, some people will never read this book again. They'll keep it somewhere. It is the truth. So I think we shouldn't hide the truth from ourselves. This is what has been going on around the schools or among ourselves. Some of us even here, we have one way to engage ourselves in corruption. Just like Dr. Ezekwesili said, that she hated corruption. And I think those people who practice corruption who are not ruling us, they want to pass through the school system. And this is what I believe what they saw. Then that's what they are practicing where they are today. This is what they have done. They say the little drop of water makes a mighty ocean. They started from this level we are. And that's why they started doing it, and of course it made a mighty ocean in their hands. If they can steal, my parents of course is stealing. If they can steal here, then they'll definitely steal there. It's something that has been going on for a long time. I think is the truth. So for us to get Nigeria reading again, I think enough of the talk. We have to start working. Nigerians, we are fond of anything that happens. We call, like the one that's saying now, we should call a Survey National Conference. A Survey National Conference. We should call for seminars, workshop, and all stuff like that. And yet after the talking and everything, we still go back to whatever we are doing. So I think enough is enough. And I also want to speak on behalf of our students here. I think the world have really degraded us a lot. They have treated us that way they are treating us is not actually encouraging. I remember when I was in junior school, my school we went for a competition. So when we were introducing ourselves, it got to turn up our school, and when we stood up to introduce ourselves, I could to junior high school. I was putting on this uniform by then. I was in junior school. So when we introduced ourselves, they all burst into laughter. They were saying, some of them were saying, these people that are from the jungle city. From the jungle city, they are like making fun of us. So I think, in other words, it affected me emotionally. I felt really down, and these are things that have killed some dreams. They are juggling time. They have killed some of our dreams. The way they treat us outside. So I think basically we have to look at these various issues that I've raised. So for us to get Nigeria again, I think we have to start working. And thank you. So my question, actually, I have to ask my question. I have two questions now for you. I want to ask, how much time do you spend reading every day? I don't mean as when you're in the institution, the university. How much time do you dedicate to reading? That's my first question. And then my second question, I want to really know, your mother. And I wanted to know if how is it possible you have been able to balance your career with your home? How is it possible you have to strike a balance? I mean, Yeah, you have to tell us, is there any time that your husband have reached out? This man, you know, you are too working. Have you said something like that to you before? I would like to know. Thank you, Lord.
He's a very intelligent young man. Keep your eyes on him. He's going to go places. He'll go places. Your comments were really, really impressive comments that you made. One of the initiatives that I had during the time that I was in charge of education in this country was stemming the tide of corruption in the education sector. We particularly had an initiative focused on exam malpractices. We wanted to bring ethics back to the classroom, and both in school administration as well as in the content of education for children. Unfortunately, I don't know how far that initiative has gone, but what you just said about the messy state of affairs where even parents are the ones facilitating the reward of children with grades that they have not worked for is a very despicable condition. It is something definitely that the government needs to take seriously, because as you rightly indicated, corruption does start at a very little level. It starts at this very little level of you being children in primary school. If you develop the culture of stealing from your fellow classmates, develop the culture of looking at their own answers in order to steal from them to answer a question, you're already corrupt. And when you start small, you will become much. It's the same thing. But it will be in the negative side that you're going to become much. I pray for you that from today you will not develop this culture of exam malpractice. Amen. Let me tell you why it is not good for you to ignore the consequences of exam malpractice. Even if you went ahead and you continued to copy, or you cheat in the exams and then you're giving a good grade, but you really don't know anything, what would have happened is that you would carry a certificate that does not represent what you know. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you present that certificate to somebody and they then take it as an assumption that you know what the certificate says you have achieved academically, they will have an expectation of you that is so higher than what you really know. Are you following what I'm saying? Yes. Now, in the world of business, or in the world of the public sector, that is government, or even in the society, when the person comes out and the person says, oh, I'm a graduate of so and so, people are going to be expecting the person to know certain things, right? So they will trust the person with the responsibility. What do you think will happen? They will fail. They will fail so badly.